ए निशा ये कुरकुरे खा ले तुम्हें। 6 बंदे देख रहे हैं इसको। तेरा पूरा गाना आ रहा था ऑनलाइन। तेरा पूरा गाना जा रहा था ऑनलाइन। यस सर। हाँ जी सर। हाँ सर यहाँ तो आ रही है। मैं यूट्यूब पे एक बार चेक करता हूँ। आवाज लाउड एंड क्लियर है। 26 now.
नहीं, दोनों दिए थे उसमें, इनवाइट में दोनों जाते हैं। ये उसका पैनलिस्ट का ये क्या हुआ? मैं मेल आईडी सब ठीक डाली है, पैनलिस्ट का पासवर्ड दिया सारा। प्रिंसिपल सर है कहाँ? लोग गए, छोड़ गए। एक सेकंड, मैं सबको म्यूट कर देता हूँ। हाँ, जो फोन पे बात कर रहे हो ना, मैं मेरी सारी जो चाहिए आपको। हाँ, म्यूट ऑन कर दी, म्यूट ऑन कर दी। हाँ, म्यूट है, पता म्यूट है। पार्टिसिपेंट तो अपने आप में पार्टिसिपेंट तो अपने आप ही म्यूट है। हाँ, कर दिया, वो पहले से सेटिंग कर दी। हाँ, दोबारा भेज दी मैंने मेल, वो जो आपने अभी आईडी दी है। आप म्यूट ऑन No, मैं कॉपी पेस्ट कर रहा हूँ दोबारा ही
ठीक है।
आपके पास पहुंच रही है?
आ रही है।
मुझे लगा
We are
कि बहुत
listening.
स्पीकर का हो, क्योंकि मेरे को वो पता नहीं लग रहा, रेस्पॉन्स पता नहीं लग रहा कि अच्छा, ओके ओके। तो मेरा कहना यही था कि जो एनएसएस वॉलेंटियर्स अपनी सोसाइटी में योगदान दे सकते हैं वो कोई भी नहीं दे सकता, और क्योंकि उसका एनएसएस का मोटो ही ये है, नॉट फॉर मी बट फॉर यू, तो आप बहुत से सोसाइटी के लिए काम कर सकते हैं, मोटिवेट कर सकते हैं।
Day. He has also been the chairman, centralized career guidance and placement cells, and also chairman for developing Surat Mill Bihar campus of GTS IT University.
Yes, sir.
हेलो सही है।
आवाज हमारी म्यूटेड आवाज हमारी।
before which we are going to have a lecture on water conservation. And then at the end of the session, you're going to listen to a speaker on waste management. I would just add here, this being a very important topic, if the two lectures that are there in the process, the water conservation and waste management, I would say the sanitation is safe in this country. So we would look into those lectures and then try and understand if they provide us the proper platform and how we can improve the sanitation of this country for a very happy and well-being of all our fellow human beings. We all know we are under the midst of COVID-19 and the spread of the pandemic, and this has really created a lot of confusion in the minds of all residents or all countrymen and the whole world as to, and they were locked down for the since the last 60 days or odd, we have been locked down. So one of the reasons, we will not go into all the reasons, but one of the reasons is the spread of the pandemic or the virus. And the reason for that is definitely this topic that we're going to talk about, and many of the measures that we are asked to do or the steps to be taken to avoid the COVID and then keep ourselves safe at home is primarily the social distancing. You know the reason for social distancing and why are we asked to do social distancing. So everything revolves around sanitation and how personal hygiene is taken care of and how we're going to address this problem through measures, not only taking it as a knee-jerk reaction that since a COVID has come into us or a virus has come into us, now we are going to do something. It should be a practice, it should be a regular practice, and in that light, this webinar will be very, very interesting and very, very important for all the participants to be a part of this whole process. We have been cheering the warriors, we call them the doctors, the paramedics, and then we were talking about the sanitary staff. Beyond this, it is all our responsibility to become one of the warriors in this game. And each and everyone, if they do their role and their bit, probably we will not see a day such as the one we are looking at. Also, we were very happy coming together, having meetings, having webinars or seminars or whatever it is, live, one to one. But here we have no choice but to meet you on a webinar platform, wherein again we are maintaining the social distancing, other norms are to be followed. So it's a blessing in disguise that we are able to at least connect in this way. And we thought that why don't we interact with all of you through these platforms and ensure that we take care of you at your homes. We try to educate you by when you are staying at your homes, and then trying to improve the perception about COVID, trying to even do lectures on how we are going to spend our times, and then how do we avoid getting this virus, and then so many aspects have been dealt with. Beyond the point, we have been dealing on the aspects of depression, anxiety, and worry that the student is undergoing during these days of the pandemic. So we have done so many series of lectures on this aspect too. So I welcome all of you once again and wish this webinar a grand success, and the participants will get enlightened, and this time that they're spending on the webinar will be very useful for them, and I believe they'll start practicing whatever is being taught today, whatever been told today, and the practice in their daily lives in order to ensure that we get reprised from this COVID-19, and also try our own ways and means to keep ourselves engaged and ensure the health of the community and the whole nation. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your views, your perceptions, your insights. Sir, I will not be wrong if I say that the whole campus vibrates and echoes your presence. You are a man of distinct vision and illuminating ideas and an inspiration for all of us. And sir, also I would like to say that it is because of you only that we are part of this NSS cell. Thank you so much, sir, for everything, for encouraging us all the time. Thank you, sir. And now, we are very lucky, to have this kind of erudite panel today who have shared their views and who will be sharing their views and perceptions in these different three talks on water conservation, waste management, and sanitation. So, in the end, I would like to call upon Dr. Anil to propose a word of thanks and to begin with our first talk session on water conservation. Over to you, Dr. Anil.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shivani, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I, Dr. Anil Kumar, honored and lucky to have the opportunity to give a vote of thanks on this special day. On behalf of NSS team of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University and Bharati Vidyapeeth College of Engineering, New Delhi, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the chief guest, respected Romi Johri, Madam, retired Assistant Director and State NSS Officer, Government of Delhi, who spread time from her busy schedule to grace the occasion and consenting to be the chief guest of this day. Thank you, ma'am. Indeed, your words are very inspired for all of us. Thank you. I also thank chairperson of this event and guest of honor, our honorable principal, Dr. Dharmender Saini, Principal Bharati Vidyapeeth College of Engineering, who graced us with his presence and guidance. Thank you, sir, for sharing with us your words of wisdom. You have been a constant support and you have given us a lot of encouragement. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir, for your unconditional support, sir. I would also like to thank Professor B.V.R. Reddy, sir, Coordinator, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, NSSL. Without you, sir, this webinar would not have been possible. You are our inspiration. Thank you very much, sir. I thank all the plenary speakers, Professor Dr. Vivek Kumar sir, Professor B.V.R. Reddy sir, and Dr. Susmita Mohapatra ma'am for allotting their precious time for our webinar. Your consent today will be echoed in our minds for a long time to come. Thank you to all the plenary speakers. Further, a big thank you to Dr. Shivani Goswami ma'am, NSS Program Officer Unit C, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University for her constant support and cooperation and her ideas of explanation of everything. Thank you, Shivani ma'am. Very, very thank you. I I mention my deepest sense of appreciation and would place on record my hearty thanks to all the participants, including faculty and students, NSS volunteers, and other staff, because of whom we made this webinar possible. Special thanks to our organizing technical team, Priyanka ma'am and Mr. Ravi. This webinar could not have been successful without them. I want to inform you, all of you, more than 700 faculty and students are participating in this webinar all over the India, not only Delhi, all over the India. This is a huge success in itself. I thank the wonderful participants who have turned up in such great numbers. Thank you so much for your cooperation in this pandemic situation. I once again thank everyone for making this program successful. Stay alert and be safe and healthy. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Shivani ma'am, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Anil. Thank you for your words of encouragement and motivation. It really means a lot, especially during this time of pandemic. Now, due to paucity of time, we will straight away move to our first talk session on water conservation.
Shivani ma'am, yeah, just a minute. I think Vivek sir taking the session at 4 o'clock. Now, invite Dr. Susmita Mohapatra ma'am for waste management.
Okay. Okay. Now, in this first session on this water waste management, we are very privileged to have with us Dr. Sushmita Mohapatra, who is an Associate Professor of Applied Science.
रुको मैम रुको उनका फोन आ रहा है सर एक मिनट 10 मिनट
तो अपने फोन में नहीं सुन सकते। Okay. In this first session, talk one session, we are really privileged and honored to have with us Professor Vivek Kumar. He is a professor in CRDT at Indian Institute of Technology. He is the coordinator of one of the major programs of the Government of India, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, that aims to utilize knowledge institutions of the country to help villages. Dr. Kumar has expertise and proficiency in clean technology and liquid waste management. He is involved in assorted projects in the area of pollution control, especially in Ganga Basin. Apart from this, he has also handled number of other projects. Currently, he is involved on the low footprint domestic sewage treatment systems for coal regions and rural areas. He has authored 2 books and has published in several articles in illustrious journals. Additionally, he is collaborating with Queen's University and Cranfield University, UK, and University of Toronto, Canada. He has been a visiting research professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering and Applied Sciences at University of Toronto in 2014. I think the list is multitudinous, and We are really eager to hear from Professor Vivek because we know that his insights and his perceptions will be very valuable for all of us as far as today's topic of this webinar is concerned. Well, Vivek sir, over to you sir.
Just a minute, ma'am. He's trying. He's trying.
Actually, there are a lot of connectivity issues. Even I faced it in the morning, and I'm really sorry that I couldn't catch up at the time because of those connectivity issues. So that's the main quandary. We'll have to bear with this thing. We're really sorry for that thing, but nothing can be done as far as these issues are concerned.
Teacher.
Dr. Anil, is he there? I think he's trying to connect.
Sorry, I think there is some connection issue. Sir is trying to connect with us. So have a listen for a time.
Actually, in these webinars, this is a lot of issue, and person really becomes helpless at times. A similar thing happened to me in the morning, and was really feeling very helpless. सुनाई ही नहीं दे रहा. Hello? Yes, ma'am, your voice is audible. Ma'am, I am not able to share the screen.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, will it be alright if I give a talk without sharing the screen? Hello?
हाँ मैम आपका उसी टाइम है मैम मोटिवेट सर करने का नहीं अभी
Anil sir, I think Vivek Kumar has joined as a participant. That's why he is not able to speak.
सर मैं उन्हीं को कनेक्ट करेंगे।
हाँ, उन्होंने एज ए पार्टिसिपेंट ज्वाइन किया है।
हाँ सर, वो उन्होंने गलत ज्वाइन कर रखा है सर, वो अभी दोबारा मैंने भेज दिया था पार्टिसिपेंट।
उनको लिंक दूसरा भेजिए और पासवर्ड भेजिए।
सर लिंक तो सेम ही है जो अब मैंने सभी को भेजा वही है।
हाँ, पासवर्ड भी दीजिए उनको।
हाँ भेज दिए सर, साथ में भेज दिए।
ओके,
अभी करवा रहा हूँ।
Any issues with the speaker?
Sir, he is joining actually. He is unable to connect.
Fine.
Sir, actually, he's trying for connecting. He's already connecting in participant, sir, not in panelist. That's why the problem is occurring, sir.
We are really sorry for the delay, but as I told you that these are certain quandaries that which we cannot help out, and so you will also have to bear with us. He's just connecting. Really sorry for the delay.
Excuse me, I'm very sorry for interruption. Sir is now joining in panelist. Actually, he is connecting in participant. That's why the problem is occurring. So have patience for a while.
Actually, these webinar things are a new concept, so everyone faces difficulties as far as this part is concerned, because we are also at the learning stage. Just because of this pandemic and catastrophic situation, we are doing all these things, so it's a learning experience for all of us. So he will just joining shortly. Really sorry for the delay.
Now I request you, Shivani ma'am, I request you kindly introduce our guest of honor and chief guest of the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually I just got late, so I came to know that the inaugural has started, and we were really privileged to have such erudite personalities today. And one of them out of it was Professor Dharmender Saini, who is a man of vision and wisdom. He is currently the principal of Bharati Vidyapeeth College of Engineering. He has also worked as professor and head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. He has handled a certain number of consultancy projects and is himself handling a reputed project on intelligent drone for smart city surveillance. Has been involved in number of curricular and administrative activities. He has been a team member in CPA Global. He has organized assorted number of seminars, training programs, workshops, etc., to name a few, and has authored number of publications in illustrious national and international journals. The list is multifarious and multitudinous. I'm so sorry, sir. I really wanted to hear you today in the morning, but due to these problems, I couldn't hear that thing. Thanks for coming, sir, and gracing this occasion. We are really grateful to you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello, good morning,
Sir,
sir.
your voice is audible, sir.
Good
Yes.
morning. Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. You are audible, sir.
Yes, really sorry for all these stuff. I think we have to learn a lot. These new platforms, we have to learn a lot. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've been using WebEx, but I think there were two different links. One was for participant, one was for panel. Okay. Anyway, so can we start now?
Yes, sir.
Shivani ma'am, I request you kindly introduce her again.
Okay, right.
Okay, she has already introduced me. So
No problem. No problem, sir. She will introduce again, sir. No problem.
Welcome, sir, to this session, and we are really privileged and honored to have you, sir, as our guest and a speaker for today. Having erudite persons in this session really means a lot, and you are one of them, sir. Sir is a professor in CRDT at Indian Institute of Technology. He is the coordinator of one of the major programs of the Government of India, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, that aims to utilize knowledge institutions of the country to help villagers. Dr. Kumar has expertise and proficiency in clean technology and liquid waste management. He is involved in assorted projects in the area of pollution control, especially in Ganga Basin. Apart from this, he has also handled number of other projects. Currently, he is involved on the low footprint domestic sewage treatment systems for coal regions and rural areas. He has authored two books and has published incessant articles in illustrious journals. Additionally, he is collaborating with Queen's University and Cranfield University, UK, and University of Toronto, Canada. He has been a visiting research professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering and Applied Sciences at University of Toronto in 2014. The list is endless, sir. Over to you, sir, now.
thank you, Dr. Shivani, or Dr. Priyanka.
To Dr. Shivani.
Dr. Shivani. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Shivani. And
Yes.
first of all, thanks to Dr. Anil and his team for inviting me on this, occasion. And today I will be topic given to me is on water conservation. Of course, I will be talking about water, but in a slightly different perspective. Uh, in the sense that I will be talking more on water sustainability. Let me just share the screen. How can I share? There is an option share file or new whiteboard. So what should I do? New whiteboard. Share my screen. Okay, got it. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, are you able to see the screen? Okay.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
I will
We can
be
see it, sir.
I will be focusing more on water sustainability. I will be talking about a lot of contradiction in this area. Of course, many times you must have heard about water conservation, rainwater harvesting. I'll be touching all those things, little bit, but largely I will be talking about the sustainability issue. So first of all, let us start with a very simple question: why are we here? So the answer is quite easy, but the fact that we all acknowledge that people in many parts of India or world are facing challenges with too little or too polluted water, and we all are willing to contribute to society for resolving at least part of these challenges, right? So there is a very nice illustration you can see here, but it itself has got two contradictions. One, if you look at the child and the man who is consuming a lot of water, so the girl which is looking who is looking at this man is actually thinking that actually thinking what actually, I mean, whether she is disturbed because she is fetching the water from 3 kilometers away, or whether she is disturbed by the fact that this man is consuming whole lot of water. So whenever we talk about water, at times we are, we are into this contradiction of supply and demand, on which we will be discussing a lot today. So if we move further, yeah. So where we can help. So first thing is judicious supply and uses. That's why, since beginning I'm saying that we will be trying to see those contradictions. So we are talking about supply as well as uses. Then of course production of resource we can help. Effective and efficient management we can contribute, and we can be a responsible citizen. Now, what responsible citizen means, that also we need to understand. Whether just closing the tap is being responsible, or understanding the whole water cycle and water sustainability is being responsible. So that is the question we will try to resolve. So this is, I'm trying to define water stress and water scarcity. As per international norms, water kept per capita availability, if it is less than 1700 meter cube per year, country is known as water stress country. Can you quickly calculate 1700 meter cube per year means what? If you divide it by 365 days, then per capita is comes out to be around 400 plus meter cube per day. That is the kind of water availability we are talking about. And if per capita availability is 1000 meter, less than 1000 meter cube per year, then it is known as water scarce country. Now, what water scarcity means? Water scarcity is either scarcity in availability due to physical shortage, or scarcity in access due to the failure of institution to ensure regular supply, or scarcity due to lack of adequate infrastructure. Now, if you look at this definition, again very interesting contradiction you will find. Now, suppose somebody is living in a desert area. What is the per capita availability? We can always calculate. So that particular region will always be water stressed. Now, when we talk about these definitions, 1700 or 1000 meter cube, what all we are doing is we are just calculating some hypothetical demand, and on that basis we are saying whether we are water stressed or whether there is a water scarcity. Again, we are not talking about water sustainability or what we call integrated water resource management. Let's talk about the resources. We have resources, conventional resources, we have non-conventional resources. So conventional resources, all of us know. We have surface waters like rivers, lakes, canals, ponds, then groundwater, then rainwater, which is actually unregulated. And then now we are also talking about some non-conventional alternative, water resources. Like if rainwater is there, then can we harvest that? Storm water which is flowing way back to water bodies, can we utilize that? Then of course reclaimed water, lot of things, lot of efforts has been there in reusing and recycling the water, either treated, partially treated or untreated, right? And then of course one of the future proposition is using saline water, because we know that And that is what, many times children, they ask you, if we have water all around us, then why are we so much concerned about water availability? So actually the answer is the thermodynamics. So like in thermodynamics, you are always looking for high grade of energy. Similarly, in case of water, water is again in form of energy. So in case of water also, you are looking for good quality of water or usable water, potable water, which can be used, which can be consumed. So that is the issue. Anyway, so the sea water is again scientists and researchers are considering this as a future proposition. So these are the water resources. Now, if you look at the condition of these water resources in India, this is a spatial and temporal distribution of rainfall. In duration is 2000 to 2014. So we all know this spatial distribution. We know that this western part of the country receives very less rainfall, and also this northern part, this is cold desert, this also receives very less amount of rains. But then there are areas which have got very high amount of rain, like some part in northeast and then western Ghats. So they receive quite a good rains in a year. Now, if you look at the temporal distribution, you can easily see that the rain which is coming to our country is largely in few months. That is what we call monsoon. So we can see that out of the total rainfall, the major share is coming to us in the month of monsoon. And of course, some good amount of rain is also available in pre-monsoon. Then very, very small rain we see in winters, and some rain is sometimes because monsoon is delayed or again. But if you combine pre-monsoon, monsoon, and post-monsoon, largely you have the almost 90-95% share of the rainfall available in this country. So what we have learned from this, that rain is not distributed uniformly throughout the country, and also rain is not uniformly distributed. So what does it mean? It means that we have to learn to live in of rainfall weather. Now, very interestingly, uh, the thing which I tried to raise in the beginning when we talk about water scarcity or water stress area. So Rajasthan, this is western part of this country, is always considered to be the water stressed area because of very low water availability. Northeast region is considered to be water surplus area because of Brahmaputra basin, and also because of the heavy rainfall. But if you look at, I'm not commenting on the practices, considered practices of Northeast, but I would like to draw your attention on some cultural practices of Rajasthan. If you look at the water stress situation, if you collect the data of last 50 years, so you will find that there has been problem in several areas, several regions. Last year, you must have heard that in Chennai there was a huge water crisis. There was a water crisis in Latur recently. We had been hearing about water crisis in various cities of MP. Like there was a train sent to MP, there was a train sent to Latur. This similar kind of situation, now it is happening in Rajasthan also. But if you look at the traditional practice of Rajasthan, people there have learned to live with this kind of situation. They have understood this sustainability of water so well. And if you go to Bikaner, I mean, now of course this practice has been abandoned because now you have household water supply in each household, and because of this Indira Gandhi Canal, things have changed. But if you look at the traditional practice of Rajasthan houses, especially Jaisalmer, Bikaner, Jodhpur, you'll find that people have constructed takas. They call it takas. They underground they have a tank, and they keep it very religiously. They maintain it very religiously. It is very clean. Every year, every season, they clean it, and they use it for storing the rainwater. Similar kind of structures, community structures, you may find at several places in Rajasthan. Other than this, if you look at the total, cultural and social practices of Rajasthan, you will find that lot of things have been evolved, with time, so that they can live with this kind of situation. I was reading in a book, or in fact, it was a story where a grandmother was scolding her granddaughter, saying that, why did you eat a particular kind of breakfast today? Because today we don't have much water available with us. What I'm trying to say is that they have, the practices have been evolved traditionally. They have food practices which are related to water availability. Similarly, I mean, if less water is available, then they go for a particular type of food, which requires less amount of water, which actually suppresses the sustenance. Similarly, we have heard a lot about different bathing practices in Rajasthan. So with very small amount of water, and we all know the red color, because water availability, depth of water level is very deep. It's more than 40 meters, right, below ground level. But if you look at the Haryana and Punjab, some small pockets in UP, with some pockets in MP, and then Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, you'll find that these blocks are moving towards overexploited blocks. Similarly, you see that blocks are coming into semi-critical condition, and thanks to this Ganga river basin, Ganga Yamuna river basin, that still in the highly populous state UP is still in, large number of blocks are still in safe zone, but soon or very fast they are moving towards semi-critical. You can see that some of the blocks have been turned into semi-critical condition, and many of them will. Right. So this is the condition of groundwater source in India, and this actually shows the unsustainability of water management in India. Previous two slides were actually talking about on the natural resource available, as far as water is concerned. But this slide has actually of water resource management in India, and this is the real cause of concern to us. So now, what to do? Sustainable water management. That is something which we need to adopt. As I said in the beginning, that I will not be focusing only on water conservation. I'll be talking more on sustainable water management. Why sustainable? As I took an example of Rajasthan, water is not available. As far as supply side uh, forum is concerned, or supply side school of thought is concerned, they always talks about water, how much water is available. If water is not available, more than 1700 meter cube per capita per, they will call me water stressed. If water is available to me less than 1000 meter cube per annum, then they will call me water scare. I mean, what the situation will be, water scarcity situation, right? But as I asked in the beginning, that if I am living in a desert area and whatever water is coming in is less, if water coming 1000 meter cube per annum, then I will permanently be in water scarcity area. What is the solution? Solution is not that by any mean I should get more than 1700 or more than 1000. Solution is sustainable water management. Now, before I go to this sustainable water management, we need to have a clear perspective. This is, you see, the world view of extraction of non-renewable resources and the harvest of renewable resources. Or, in a simpler term, I can say that this is how we look at natural environment, or this is how we make a relationship between natural environment and economy. Now, initially, all economists were having an opinion that natural environment is nothing but a factor of production, because we get, we know three factor of production. One is land, that is nothing but natural resource. Then labor, again, is a part of natural environment, I would consider. And then capital, which is something virtual, which nature does not recognize. But anyway, so initially we were thinking, then it was realized that nature is required not only for getting factor of production, that is resources, but also it is required to assimilate waste. Whatever we generate, that also goes to nature, and nature will take care of that. Slowly and slowly, something more was added, and then people started realizing that we also draw some environmental amenities like bird watching, canoeing, hiking, anything which gives me pleasure, and this pleasure is drawn from these environmental amenities. So, by and large, if I combine all three together, all three of them, then also the worldview is that economy and natural environment are independent. However, there is a connection between natural environment and economy for these three functions. We require factor of production from nature, waste will be given to the nature will assimilate that, and then some environmental amenities which will be consuming. And then, of course, there is a factor of substitution, the possibility of technology augmentation. So it all happens, and following the demand and supply theory, the scientists, researchers, economists, they believe that because of our technological progression, because of the unlimited capacity of our thinking, we can always find out some factor or some substitution of any factor of production. So if coal is depleting, we will find out some alternate to the coal. That alternate is depleting. The other fossil fuel, that is crude oil, if that is depleting, we will find out other solution. So there is no need to worry. We can keep natural environment. We can just think natural environment in isolation with economy. However, this is the reality. Reality is ecologically enlightened economic view, right? Which says that biosphere is limited. We cannot outgrow this biosphere, right? Right. So whatever is the relationship we have with this environment, the fact is that we are the subset of this environment, this economy, and as the economy size of the economy has grown, and it has grown up to such a limit that any disturbance in economy or any factor or any kind of ripple which is created through this economy now is affecting biosphere. Whether you talk about global climate change, whether you talk about ozone layer depletion, acid rain, anything. So everything is now, because the size of the economy has grown so much, so that it is now able to directly make an impact to the biosphere. So we need to consider this, that we cannot outgrow biosphere, and the more we grow closer to the size of the biosphere, more we will be able to disturb the biosphere by our activities. The only, and one more lesson we can learn from this, that resources are limited. If you say that everything basic, there are six basic elements on this biosphere other than those limited uh, elements which are not into the cycle, but these 6 elements limited, but they are in cycle. For example, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur and phosphorus. So they are also limited. Of course, there is a cycle for that, but these elements are also limited. Other elements, like if you talk about iron, aluminium, they are not even recycled, right? There is no cycle available, natural cycle available for that. They are limited, and as well as there is no. So even these 6 elements, they are being recycled, and their quantity is, so the only unlimited quantity available to us is the solar energy. So whatever economic, if I put it in very blunt terms in terms of thermodynamics, so our entropy generation should be equal to the the energy which we are getting from sun, right? So that should be the volume of our activities which consumes that much, which requires that much of energy. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say here is that everything is limited in this biosphere, and that is also true for water. And that is what I mentioned in the beginning, that uh, we are striving for water, though it is available in different forms. It is available in sea. There's huge quantities available, but we are looking for higher quality of water, which we can use, right? So, right. So, with this background, I think now we'll be able to understand this sustainable water management in our country. One of the example which I already shared, the people of Rajasthan are doing nothing but sustainable water management. What is the problem with our water management? So in bracket I have written unsustainable. Why it is unsustainable? Because our water management talks about technocentric policy, presuming that we can resolve it through engineered solutions. I mentioned about linking of rivers. We see that every time we find there is a water scarce area, then we think of building a dam, constructing a dam, and starting a scheme where from that dam water can be taken to. Example I again took Indira Gandhi Canal. It might be resolving the issue for, let's say, 50 years, 100 years, but ultimately it will create, and already some of the ecological effects are being observed by researchers. So that is not actually sustainable. Sustainable is the practices which I talked about. So these technocentric policies like dam and transfer, energized groundwater abstraction, result of which we have already seen, that now we are, many of our blocks are moving to overexploited blocks, maximizing a subset of uses of pipe water energy failing influence 50 to 250, from 250 to 350. But the question remains, why 150 or why 250? Why not 50 or why not 100? Right? So we always wanted to increase the number. Okay. So, of course, that was not agreed upon, and many of us, at least two of the members, we elementally opposed that, and they finally kept it 150. Lack of systematic perspective resulting broader spatial and temporal negative externalities. This already I've talked about. This is very, very important. Overlooking many linked ecosystem services and their benefits, or what we are not understanding, the integral connections between urban, rural, industrial, agriculture, and nature conservation benefits provided by the catchment ecosystem. Why? Because we don't understand. What we have seen is this world view. Economy is independent to the natural environment. While the fact is that this factor of production is not independent of this natural environment. Whatever augmentation we try to do through technology or factor of substitution, this natural environment has to look at things as a whole. right. So, okay. So we don't understand this integral connection, and that's why we are. So the principles of integrated water resource management are limited by knowledge, data gaps, regulatory and scientific capacities, and power resources. This is is the generic reason for unsustainable water management. Very interestingly, uh, when we talk about sustainability of water, it has been shown by several researchers that if we are talking about water sustainability, actually we are talking about sustainable development. One of the group of the Terry, they did some study in 2016, try to do some sustainability analysis of this country. They try to develop some indicators, right, for sustainable development. They actually took 19 different factors, like some of the factors you can see: water quality, access to tap water, water quantity. Total 19 factors were there. So they were trying to calculate, they actually calculated economic sustainability, they calculated environmental sustainability, and they, of course, finally calculated the integrated sustainability index. Very interestingly, you can see here why I took this table. They try to correlate these 19 parameters, 19 indicators, right? And very interestingly, you can see, and they, of course, they categorize them into three categories: strongly correlated, moderately correlated, and feebly correlated. And you can see that in almost all cases, especially if you look at the strongly correlated, the important parameters, they all have water in it, like water quantity, access to tap water, then right. Then here you see that waste management, then sanitation, right? So quality and quantity. So if you look at these parameters, it makes it clear that water and sanitation, they are the major indicators which can, the parameters which can lead to sustainable development. Similarly, if you know, some of you might be knowing that Maslow actually made a table for hierarchy of human needs. Later on, Colin actually compared this with hierarchy of water management. Very interesting correlation you can see. From level 1 to 5, hierarchy of human needs moves how? Like first you need some, there are certain psychological needs for survival, like you just need water, food, shelter. Then you go for security, I mean safety, security, stability, and you become a little bit more social. You start moving outward. So one is individual, then individual security, then you move towards society where you are linked to family, community. Then very interestingly, now the further development is moving towards again individualism. So the level fourth is esteem, status, recognition. That is again individualistic parameters. And the fifth, the highest level of human need is self-fulfillment. So you start with individual person and you end up into a highly individualistic person. 1 to 5. This is how a man travels through development process. You look at parallelly, if you look at the water. So first is biophysical need, individual need. Individual needs we are talking about. Then we are talking about local development, that is agriculture, domestic water, right? Then we are talking about regional water projects. Then we spend it more national water projects, and then finally water resource sustainability. So if you are talking about water and you are talking about water sustainability, see how you are moving. You are moving individual to family, to region, to nation, and to the highest degree of spirituality. That is nothing but water resource sustainability, right? So it is very clear that, so the first, this human need you can compare with the so-called development model of today, and the second hierarchy of water management need is nothing but proposed model of sustainable development. A little bit complicated diagram I can just give. Actually, I just wanted to show with the work of Andy Huff he did in Meghalaya, and he tried to establish a relationship, and then how everything is linked. So water you cannot consider in isolation. So this is a complete, this is a circular, or this is an integral. This is a part of an integral system. So which is actually how this water scarcity is. You are getting this water scarcity. Water scarcity. So it started with deforestation. So, for example, deforestation started soil erosion, resulting to flood, threat to human lives, more deforestation. So this is like similarly, deforestation contributes to decreasing average and increasing fluctuation of rainfall, leads to water scarcity, no irrigation, or electricity shortage, then decreasing economic security. So everything is linked, right? It's a little bit complicated. So what he tried to do he tried to do was he tried to understand this whole nexus through diverse pressures, state impacts, and response methods. And what we have seen is that when we talk about water related challenges, water related issues, things are not as simple as just you see, just provide them, just make a dam, just dig a canal and provide household connection to all, provide 150 liters per capita per day per individual. That's not all, because water itself is interconnected, or as I said in the beginning, that this is a part of the whole ecosystem services, right? I can skip that. So what we have to do, we have to understand the sustainable withdrawal limits. We have to go for water budgeting, because I'm talking about balancing supply and demand. So first we need to see what is available with us. So that is what we do. When a businessman, how does a businessman work? So he just look at the account, input and output, and he decides on the investment, or he decides on the expenditure depending on the input and output. And it is a very obvious, or very we know that if somebody is not taking care of input and output, soon he will be bankrupt. Soon he will be on the roads. And the similar thing is happening with us in terms of water. We are not able to. So what the first thing is we need to understand is the source sustainability. That is what we have to see is how much water we should withdraw. We should withdraw only the amount which we are able to recharge. And water recharge is possible through, surface water sources, right? This is the local recharge and diffuse recharge. That is happening through groundwater. Of course, in that we can go into detail how this recharge can be done, but I'm moving to some other things. Uh, then of course, water budgeting means we have to look at what is water in, what is water out, how much we are consuming. Consuming means what is runoff, how much. Let's say, for example, hydrological water balance. What is the precipitation, and how much is runoff? What is evapotranspiration? Then we have to focus on the third. So what we are doing actually with this in water conservation structures. So we are trying to delay this runoff. Of course, there will be runoff. We are trying to reduce this quantity of runoff, and this change in storage in soil or bedrock we want to increase. And how does we do it? How does we perform this activity? By allowing this water to stay for longer time. So what is the process? So the water is seeped through the bed of the water body, or the surface to the groundwater. So if there is a precipitation, what we need to do? We need to stop it for a longer while, and then of course it will flow. We cannot stop its flow. Now many people that at times confused, they get confused. They say that in dam also we are doing the same thing. So what is the difference between these small storage structures like check dam and the actual the bigger dams we are? So these check dams are actually made in that water body itself. Like if the water stream is flowing, it is made check dam in that water body, and this check dam is not stopping the flow of this water, right? It is just allowing water to stay at a particular point for a longer duration, or it is actually slowing the flow rate. Many times this bed of river or stream is very steep. Sometimes this bed is below the groundwater level, and in that case, groundwater is coming to the river at a higher rate. So what you are doing is that you are making a balance. You are actually increasing the height of the water. So due to the hydrostatic pressure, this water flows back to the groundwater. So that is what actually you are doing. While in case of the dams, what we are doing, we are actually engaging the large catchment area which is flooded with water. We are stopping water, we are actually disturbing the whole ecology of the water, and so on. So these two things cannot be really compared. Right. So when we are talking about water conservation structures, we are just trying to any structure you talk about, given structure or any structure you talk about, you're just trying to uh, you know uh, uh, put obstacle in the flow of the water. So that now the most important thing which I wanted to talk about is the water requirement. Let us, I think, first look at this basic water requirement. It's not easy to interact with participants, but mostly when we talk about water requirement, basic water requirement, mostly we think of domestic use, like personal use, cooking, sanitation, and bath. And of course, in that category, there are several people have got different experience, and they have put in some, daily water use, like yeah. So this is if you are using so for in kitchen. This second figure is better. Like so, bathing is a typical 28 liter you require. Toilet you require 20 liter. Washing clothes 19, 16. House cleaning 7. Drinking 4. So like this you can add 32, 52, 52, 72, 71. It's around 100. It comes out to be 99. So this is a very very typical kind of calculation. While in the first figure, this is a typical urban water requirement, and shower or bath you require 80 liters, running tap in kitchen 42, laundry 28, toilets 27, and so on. So total is 184. Right. So this all mostly our effort is on this. Most of the time we are focusing when we talk about water conservation, we are talking about uh, reducing water in bathing, reducing water in toilets, like that. Of course, it is also very, very important, right? And when we look at this figure, we see that 15%, 17%, 30%, 33%. When I come to this, so our basic requirement is not only domestic, our basic requirement is for production of food. We require water for industries, power generation, like power generation and other industrial activities. And we also require water for natural ecosystem. I'll talk about this natural ecosystem in the last. But let us look at the figures. You can see in this table, total irrigation demand is 78%. In 2025, it is 72% we are projecting, right? This is from Central Water Commission. Industrial demand currently is 5%, domestic demand is just 6%, right? But many researchers have shown that demand in India for irrigation is around 90%. It is as high as 90%. So when I'm talking about, now you can calculate, if 150 liter per day is your requirement for domestic purpose, which is just 6%. So roughly, you are actually consuming 3,000 liter per day, 3 meter cube per day. 3 meter cube per day multiplied by 365 comes out to be around 1100 meter cube per annum. Now you remember how we reached to that figure, right? The figure which we were talking about, water scarcity and water stressed area, 1700, 1100, oh sorry, 1000 meter cube, right? Now there are challenges. What are these challenges? One, when we talk about water conservation practices, mostly we are focusing on domestic use. That's 6% largely. Of course, that is also very, very important, because not because that this is what we can contribute, but because in domestic area we use the highest quality of water. For irrigation, water is used, of course, but for that you are not going to treat the water, surface water or groundwater. But for domestic purpose, you are investing a lot in treating the water, right? So that is why, that is one reason why we need to focus on domestic use water. But the other major concern which I would like to highlight, can you see this table, which I have also circled, that environment, what kind of demand we are projecting for environment? 1%, roughly around 5 billion cubic meter. That's very interesting, because this 5 billion meter cube for natural ecosystem, that comes out to be 1% of our total demand, is nothing. A very conservative estimate done by researchers, they have estimated that the minimum requirement of natural ecosystem is 25%. Minimum. What is this natural ecosystem? A river has to have, a river is having natural ecosystem. If it needs to survive that ecosystem, it requires some water, lakes, ponds, vegetation, everything. And this whole ecosystem provides a lot of services to us. It's not only providing water for us for irrigation, for domestic purpose, for industrial purpose. There are other ecosystem services which we are drawing from environment, and those ecosystem services also require a lot of water. And this water is as high as 25%. I would like to share one very interesting piece of story. I wanted to actually add one video on that, but I thought that I'll share the link, and probably Dr. Anil will share with all of you. There is a place all of you must be knowing, Jhabua in MP. It's dominated by Bhil tribals. In 2000, and this is the region which comes under the forest reserve. And very interesting thing about this region is that the whole area is reserved under forest, but there is no forest. There is no tree available there. I mean, you will be surprised to see that area, and you will, wondering why it is called forest. Anyway, so this area is dominantly habitated by Bhils. It's a tribal. It's a tribe. I visited Jhabua last year. I visited one pond which they made. There is a tradition in these Bhils called halma. So whenever a family is in its distress, they call halma. All the society comes together and help that particular stressed family, pool their resources, and do the work. So since 2007, they started calling halma. Of course, there is one organization, Shiv Ganga, is working with these people. This organization just revived the tradition of these deeds. And since 2007, these people are calling every year halma, and this bigger halma is for plantation work. They also dig a lot of trenches, water conservation they do, and throughout the year they construct ponds based on their traditional knowledge. This is water sustainability. We visited a pond, and this pond was constructed very recently, 2 years back, by three villages. No money was taken from the government, no help was taken from the government. They pooled their own resources, and of course, they have very good knowledge on that. Very interestingly, can you imagine what for what purpose they made this pond? Not for irrigation, not for drinking purpose, but as a demand of natural ecosystem. They had a unsigned charter, and none of the villager was allowed to consume the water of that pond for irrigation and for drinking purpose. Even domesticated animals were restricted to come to that pond and drink and have the water. The water was for it was part of a very small hill. So it's largely for sustaining the natural ecosystem for wild animals and the whole natural ecosystem, and it was working well. So we were just amazed, and I was there with some students of IIT Delhi. We were just amazed, and we asked them that what kind of charter you signed, how do you monitor it, what is the method of surveillance. They said nothing. It is our community tradition, and we follow it, we obey. Then we asked that, don't you have any mischief people? They said yes, we have, and they try to do, but collectively as a community, we preserve it. Right. So what I'm trying to highlight here, and that's what I said in the beginning, when we start saying water conservation, again we move into the trap of water consumption only. That we need to conserve water so that we can use it. Nothing bad in that. That has to be there. But first we have to understand the very basic question of water sustainability. That's why today I thought that I must talk about it. So this demand of natural ecosystem, this table prepared by CWC, with all due respect, has no scientific basis. 1%, 1%, 2% has no scientific basis. So this need to be understood, this need to be calculated. And why this is important? Probably from the importance point of view, they have placed the order. Irrigation is the first priority because of the food, domestic, industries, and environment. Actually, environment should be on the top because it is nothing but demand for natural ecosystem. And all our irrigation, domestic industries, it all depend on environment. As that's why I showed that ecological view of growth, right? Now people are also talking about water poverty index. Of course, there is some movement in this water poverty index. Initially, when it was developed by Sullivan, he was talking about water availability, access to safe water, sanitation, then time taken to collect domestic wastewater, domestic water. But later on, if you look at the fifth component, now they are also talking about environment. They are also talking about an environment. They are talking about biodiversity. Means water is required by the environment also, right? Okay, now what is the way forward? Very quickly I'll go through in 5 minutes. uh, do I have 5 minutes? How much time I have? Dr. Anil, hello.
So you can, you can go on, sir.
For how long?
5-10 minutes, sir.
5-10 minutes. Okay, now what is the way forward? So first of all we need to look at our objectives. Now again, economists around the world, the global people, global researchers, they have identified some of the objectives of sustainable water management for developing area of tools and for developed area. So, and they have divided urban, agriculture, and ecosystem, three sectors. And in urban sector, the challenge is equitable delivery. We all know that. We all see that in Delhi, there is what is the problem? In some areas there is no water available. In some areas water is coming from tankers, and in some areas water is available 24 hours, 24 into 7. Reliability is an issue. System flexibility with growth is an issue. We are expanding, but then there need to be a supply for that. Agriculture, we are facing challenges for food security, expansion of irrigated area, supplemental irrigation, crop water productivity. So first three, they are actually talking about supply. The fourth one talks about crop water productivity. So as I mentioned before, that some of the researchers have estimated that irrigation in India is 90%, right? So we need to think of this crop water productivity. And third sector, the objective was identified as production of value ecosystem services. I've slightly modified it from the Indian point of view. So instead of urban sector, I mentioned here habitats, whether rural area, urban area, or whatever. So what are the challenges? Supply in premises, intermittent operation, water loss, and solution can be conservation, education, rainwater harvesting, community participation. Community participation is a huge thing. Why? I'll talk about that in detail. Watershed development, water reuse and recycling. So all these solutions are around conservation. They are not around augmenting supply side. They are actually around management of whatever water is available. So answer cannot be that we should increase our water supply per capita per day from 150 to 250. The answer should be, first we have to see from where we are getting this 150 LPC. How many of us are aware that Delhi is highly unsustainable in terms of water management? How many of you know that water is a very big political issue in Delhi. You all know that. And whenever this political question is answered, it is answered in terms of supply. Whether it will be made free, whether 70 liters per household will be provided or whatnot. But nobody talks about from where this water is coming. Around 40% of the Delhi water is coming from, or more than 40 now, from Ganga Canal. If you look at the Delhi, and mostly, in ancient times, they used to have cities on the bank of any river, just because of huge requirement of water. Delhi was also on the bank of Yamuna. So, to talk about the source of water in Delhi, there are primarily two sources: Yamuna River and groundwater of Delhi. But major share of water in Delhi is coming from Ganga. I don't know how many of you know that. So nobody is talking about the sustainability. If water is available to Delhi is only as per the 75 LPCD, why I am planning for 150 LPCD, right? So the solution is actually the conservation, demand and supply management, or integrated resource management. Similarly, agriculture, we know that subsidies are actually promoting responsible use. We also are not talking about crop water productivity. So there are certain solutions. Then ecosystem. The challenge is we are having economic development as priority. But very interestingly, many times this argument is given that we need water for industrial sector. That's why. But very interestingly, we have seen that for industrial sector, not more than 5% water we are consuming for industry. So when we talk about economic development priorities, we really don't understand. The only problem is that we don't value ecosystem services. And when we don't value them, we don't understand them. So straightway answer we provide that we have economic development priorities. We cannot think of giving water to natural ecosystem, this and that. But the fact is that we have not thought about it. Right. So that's why solution is ecosystem service management. That is must for our country. Then of course benchmarking is required, strict monitoring is required, and in the end I would like to show you some of the slides from this Jal Jeevan mission. So probably what people like us have been discussing, probably it has been recognized by our policymakers now, and now we have actually come or moved towards sustainability of water sources. So we have come out of that, or actually we are trying to come out of the that supply side gap. Although this Jal Jeevan mission is launched by Government of India in 2020 January 3rd or 4th, I think this document came. Although its objective is again supply side. It says that we need to provide pipe water supply to all rural households by 2024. However, when it talks about the solution, it talks about the strategy, then I feel satisfied because it talks about integrated demand and supply side management of water at the local level. Two things are important. One, integrated demand and supply side management, and where at local level. So that is what people in Rajasthan were doing. That is what people in Bundelkhand were doing. Right. So, and the third important thing, the most important thing in this Jal Jeevan mission is creation of local infrastructure for rainwater harvesting, groundwater recharge, and management of ocean. And of course, because it is talking about integrated, so very quickly, I just show you. Of course, it is for rural water supply, but you can see that the kind of role it has envisaged for local bodies, or it has envisaged for community participation, makes it clear that we are moving towards integrated water resource management. So you can see these are the activities, and out of I think 11 activities, probably 11 or 12 activities, 8 or 9 you will find GP. GP is nothing but Gram Panchayat. Whether you talk about creation of infrastructure for water supply, till functional household connection, tap connection, we are talking about GP. Source sustainability, GP. Then you can see installing water measurement devices, GP. Fixing and collection of O&M costs, water traffic, GP. Means maintenance will also be done by Gram Panchayat. Grey water management, again, there is a role for GP. Right. So, component of JJM I can leave. Yeah, this is very interesting. What is the strategy? Only I will talk about the first thing. Strategy is community-led partnership with states, UTs, strategy for achieving the objectives of JJM. So it is talking about community-led partnership, and it is very clearly written. The government is going to play a role of facilitator, and that is what is required for long-term sustainability in this sector. Right? Of course, the role of Gram Panchayat I have discussed in detail, but very quickly, village action plan they need to prepare. Very quickly, I would like to highlight one thing. They are talking about history of water supply, public availability in the village. Why they are talking about history? Because they need to understand what is the resource available. It is must. What are the emergency arrangements like water supply through tankers, train, etc. in that part? Need to understand what kind of strategies has been adopted. Works related to water supply, so strengthening, general trend of water availability, major waterborne diseases. Similarly, current availability of water in water source and long-term sustainability. All related to water sustainability has been given to the local people. I was in Tikamgarh. Just with this example, I would like to end my talk because this is a very long topic. We can discuss a lot on this. So, but I'm just sharing one very eye-opening example. I was in Tikamgarh. Actually, I'm working for government of Madhya Pradesh on a sustainability of piped water supply system. So Tikamgarh we have taken as a pilot district. We were discussing with villagers, and one very simple villageman came and he said that, "Sir, we know the moment you people come, we know that something bad is going to happen. If suppose today we are getting 100 liters, tomorrow we will get 80 liters. We are very sure." I asked him, why? Why are you saying so? He said, 150 years ago, the rulers of the region made a lot of ponds. They had a complete, total mechanism of management of those tanks. Many of us must have read the book by great Anupam Mishra ji, आज भी खड़े हैं तालाब. So similar kind of example he quoted. He said that there was a traditional practice. We all were maintaining those tanks and ponds. They were well designed. The catchment was properly identified, and we were maintaining that. But since last 20-25 years, since PHED came into the picture, in the name of providing water to us, all these ponds, tanks, structures become dysfunctional. Because now we believe that somebody from PHED will come and clean this tank, resolve some issues and challenges. We have all disowned all these deposits, bank lockers, or whatever valuable things. That is a quote by a very simple villageman from district people. It was an eye-opening to me as well as for PHED people here with me. So I just would like to end my talk with this figure, which is taken from a very famous book, The Third Girl, written by the producer of a very famous movie, Yudh Sikandar, Mansoor Ali Khan. We can see that the first illustration is talking about unlimitedness of our mind or concept, but the right illustration by Vinci is actually talking about the physical reality, the limitation of growth. That Corona also has taught us about that. So I would like to end with this note that water is limited. We have to think of integrated water resource management. We have to think about water sustainability. We not to just think of supply side augmentation. Thank you. Any question? I would be happy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such a splendid presentation, sir. Now it's time for certain queries. Can we have quick questions? Shreyashi, are you there? It's over to you now, Shreyashi. Can we take 2 questions?
What was the question? I could not hear actually.
क्वेश्चन है यूट्यूब से लिखो.
Are we having any questions?
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Sir, please.
Sir, what percentage of the earth is water, sir?
What percentage of earth is water?
Yes, sir.
It's more than 70%.
And sir, an area underground that water flows through, what it is called, sir?
Area under?
An area underground that water flows, that is what called, sir?
Yeah, that is separate.
Okay.
But you
Okay.
see, whatever water is available, we have to see how much. That is not important. Important is how much is available to us. How much is usable? So very less percentage is usable. Is available in usable form.
And sir, what is zone of aeration, sir?
Hello.
Sir, what is zone of aeration? What is zone of aeration? Aeration. AERATION, aeration. Zone of aeration. Sir, it is related to water conservation, sir.
So zone of aeration is especially for water conservation you are talking about?
It is related to water conservation, sir.
So zone of aeration is actually it is about recharging.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doctor, sir.
It is actually at the very near to the surface. So when water is recharged, so the area zone which is very near to surface is called zone of aeration.
Okay, sir.
Do we have certain more questions to ask?
Yes,
No, ma'am.
No? Actually, sir, this thing was so explicit and unambiguous. I don't think so people are left with any questions to ask for. Thank you, sir, for shedding light on this today's issue. Your talk has set is amongst the most rich countries. Its water resources are not evenly distributed. So the need of the hour is to conserve water so that people not only get clean drinking water, but are also available at every nook and corner of the country. Thank you so much, sir. It was really entrancing and gripping. Thank you a lot, sir. Okay. Now this brings us to the end of our talk one session. Anil, do we have something more to say in this talk one session? Dr. Anil?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am.
Okay, I'm saying, do we put an end to this talk session or we have something more in it? Are we waiting for Vice Chancellor, sir?
I think, ma'am, Vice Chancellors are trying to connect.
Okay,
He will join, ma'am.
so we're going to put an end to the session now.
Just a minute, sir. Ma'am, just a minute. I talked to Reddy, sir, regarding this. I think.
Okay, okay, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. There was a question for Sir Vivek.
Hello, Shivani, ma'am. I think VC sir will join at 1 p.m. Before starting the next session. Yes, before starting the next session.
Okay.
Now we will share the feedback form link on screen of YouTube as well as on WebEx.
Okay.
So kindly convey the message to our participants.
Yeah, that will be shared. We'll be sharing it shortly, right? So this is an end to this session right now. Okay. That's all for the talk session 1. We will be reconnecting at 1 p.m. in the second talk session on sanitation, headed by our Professor B.B.R. Reddy. So please be connected at 1 p.m. and we will be sharing the feedback form. So thank you so much. We will meet at 1 p.m. now. Thanks a lot.